Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning. It's Sunday, 15th of February 2026, and I hope you guys are really enjoying your weekends. In this video, we're just gonna skim through all the pairs that we have in our watch list, and then just to figure out what is the next weekly bias, so that we can build the storyline strong from tomorrow. So let's start with the Dixie. Dixie, we are currently trading below 50 EMA. At the same time, we cleared this high, and right now we're aggressively dropping towards downside. The last weekly candle managed to close below the low of the previous week. So the weekly bias is this one. We can target towards this low. This is the HPL. In Euro USD, we failed to close above the high of the last week. Overall, the trend is bullish. Uh, there are some HPLs that we can, there are some liquidities this side. And overall, we are currently trading above 50 EMA. But at the same time, it's highly possible as we actually fail to close above this high. So it's highly possible that we are going to see some deeper correction downside below this previous weekly low. And then we can see some bullishness in the market. At the same time, I can spot this was the FVG, and right now we tested this FVG and bouncing from it. If price actually managed to clear this low, in that case, my this position will get triggered in daily time frame. Um, and in daily time frame, this position will also line up perfectly with 50 EMA. So it's possible that we will see something like this, or it's also possible that we can just keep following the trend and move towards upside, clear the previous weekly high. So there are two possibilities for USD. If we just try to line up this with Dixie, in that case, this one is more possible than this one. GBP USD, the last weekly candle was an insider bar. The overall trend is bullish. We're currently above 50 EMA. We cleared a very significant swing high in weekly time frame, and right now we're correcting back lower. At the same time, I can see we are actually bouncing from a flip area. Even though it's possible that we can see some deeper correction, but I'm going to target for this high, previous weekly high and this high. I'm already long on GBP USD from this kind of level, and I'm going to hold my position. So these are my HPLs for the next week. Okay, AUD USD, we managed to close above the high of the previous week, so the weekly bias is clearly bullish, but at the same time, we're just too much extended towards upside without any decent correction. I can spot internal range buy side liquidity this side, so which is very near. At the same time, it's highly possible that we're going to see some deeper correction downside before we see a clearance of this highs. My weekly bias is bullish, but at the same time, I will be aware that we can see some decent correction downside too. So it's a pretty much confusing situation for me. Same story for NZD USD. We're just too much extended towards upside right now. At the same time, we have some HPLs above. The last weekly candle failed to close above the high of the previous week, so we can target towards this low too. So that's not also a clear bias. We can like I'm seeing both bias here. It's highly possible that we're gonna clear this low first, and then we will start a new trend towards upside. But at the same time, we're into a strong bullish impulsive phase. It's possible that we're gonna keep pushing towards upside and clear this highs first. I'm already long on NZD USD from this kind of levels. I'm gonna hold my position and let's see how it unfolds. USD JPY. This is something clean. This is something clean. And the reason is pretty much clear. Like we cleared a very significant swing high. And right now we are very sharply dropping towards downside. The last weekly candle, look at this. We cleared the previous weekly high and then we strongly closed below the low of the previous week. It's clearly visible that we're going to trade below this low. So that's a clean HPL. I'm already short on USD JPY. And it's highly possible that it's gonna end up hitting my take profit during the new next Asian session or London session. USD card, this is something confusing. Look at this. Price traded all the way lower this kind of level. I was expecting price to clear this lows, but then we just corrected back higher. Hmm. We are in. Oh, actually, look at this. We are actually into a bullish kind of momentum in USD CAD overall and long term, but that's actually too much long term. And if we just focus on the recent price action, I can spot a fair value gap at around this level. So these, like, look at this. We're just stuck inside this weekly range from last 2 weeks. It's pretty much confusing. USD CHF. That's a clean one. That's a clean one. We can target towards this low and this low, the previous weekly low and this low. The last weekly candle managed to close below this low very strong, so we can target towards this low and this low. These are some clear HPLs. For USD CAD, I'm just going to remove these two things because this is just going to make me confused throughout the week if I just don't remove them. USD CHF. Yeah, that's a clean HPL. Gold. Gold. Look at this. We actually failed to close above the high of the previous week, but bro, it's gold, and we should always target towards the previous weekly high. So I'm gonna target towards this high, and even though the weekly bias is not that strong, but still it's highly possible that for the next weekly candle we're gonna open. Look at the last daily candle that was really impulsive. So it's possible that we're gonna open the new weekly candle, trade back a little lower, and then start moving towards the upside to clear this high. So that's my HPL for gold, and obviously the overall long-term HPL is this one. I'm gonna keep longing gold until I see some really deeper correction in daily time frame. Euro GBP last week on Friday, I was looking for longs in this one, but right now we are already below 50 EMA in daily time frame. The weekly candle, it's a shit, man. Look at this. We traded all the way above higher. I was expecting price to clear this high, but we failed. Then it closed like this. It's clearly visible that we're gonna open the new weekly candle, trade back a little lower, below the previous weekly low. And if price actually managed to clear the previous weekly low, it's also very near. This FVG is also very near, so it's also possible that we're gonna trade below this low towards the FVG. So this is what I'm gonna keep in my watch list. So yeah, let's see. I don't think I'm gonna get any kind of short setup in GBP USD before price actually managed to clear this low. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna start looking for shorts here in GBP Euro GBP. Okay, we're beautifully dropping from the OT level, so I'm gonna start planning for shorts. But the weekly candle is actually bouncing from a minor discount. Overall, the price action is bullish in Euro GBP high time frame. At the same time, the 50 EMA is all perfectly lining up with this. So it's a pretty much confusing situation. I'm just gonna keep this in my watch list. Okay, Euro AUD. The last weekly candle, even though we are into a very impulsive bearish trend, but the last weekly candle actually failed to close below the low of the previous week. So uh, this is not a high probability low that we can target. We can actually target towards this high. Um, we're also currently at a flip area. Let's see. I'm gonna target towards this high, even though this is not actually a high probability setup because this is not a green candle at all. So I'm just gonna skip it. This is nothing. There is nothing clear in this one. Euro JPY. We can target towards this low. This is pretty clean. I don't need to explain this. Why I'm gonna target towards this low. Euro CHF. It's a pretty clean setup. We can target towards this low. Euro CHF. Euro CAD. Euro CAD. Let's just skip. We are currently at 50 EMA in Euro NZD weekly time frame. The last weekly candle failed to close below the low of the previous week, so this is definitely not a HPL. But if we just look at the last impulsive move downside, then it's possible that we're going to keep trading towards this low. But this is not a HPL. This is just a low that we can target. Okay, I'm gonna keep this in my watch list. Let's see how it unfolds. In this perspective, in daily time frame perspective, this is HPL. But in terms of weekly bias, this is definitely not an HPL. Like this was a complete insider bar, and it's highly possible that we're gonna see some bullish momentum upcoming week. Let's see. I'm just gonna keep this thing in my watch list. Euro, JP, and GBP, JPY. Clean bearish HPL. We can target towards the previous weekly low. GBP CAD. Euro CAD and GBP CAD is pretty choppy thing, isn't it? Look at this price action. I hate this kind of price action. GBP CHF. That's a clean HPL towards downside. Overall, the trend is bearish, and we're also closing below the low of the previous week. We can target towards this low. Is there any setup in 1 hour for this? Hmm, Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. There is no setup yet in GBP CHF. GBP NZD. We traded all the way lower to this just to close above the low of the previous week. I can target towards this high. I can target towards this high. AUD CAD, we're just too much extended towards upside. Even though the weekly bias is clean, that we just closed above the high of the previous week, but still it is not giving me some good sign. Like if just because we're just too much extended towards upside, we can see some decent correction. I want to see some decent correction, decent pullback downside. I'm gonna I'm gonna skip this. I'm gonna skip this one now. AUD CHF. Price actually managed to close like this, then this is actually becoming my HPL. We cleared the previous weekly high, and then we closed below the inside the range of the last weekly candle. We closed inside the range of the last weekly candle. Okay, we can target towards this low. I was planning for a long in this one. Come on, look at this. I was planning for this long, like a sweep of liquidity, then break of structure. I was planning for a long here, but I'm definitely not going to take the trade right now because the weekly bias is clearly bearish. At the same time, we cleared some really significant high in the weekly time frame. Okay, let's see what's going on in AUD and ZD. The weekly bias is cleanly bullish. We're extended towards upside, but at the same time, we can still look for longs in this one. We are waiting for price to come into a discounted price region. We can target for this high, actually. We can target towards this high only if we can see some, if AUD and ZD manage to give us some good rejection from this kind of level, then we can target towards this high. Okay, if AUD and ZD actually manage to go a little lower than the equilibrium, in that case we will clear the previous weekly low. So it's possible that we're gonna just if AUD and ZD really wants to clear the previous weekly high first, in that case it's possible that we're gonna start seeing some good rejection from 38.2. AUD JPY, we are into a very deep discount right now in daily time frame. Look at this impulsive move. We cleared this highs and right now we're just trying to give some decent correction. The weekly bias is clearly this low and this low. The weekly bias is bearish for this one. AUD JPY. NZD CAD, the last weekly candle was an insider bar. NZD CAD. Oh, that's not a clean one. That's not a clean one. Okay, NZD CHF. I was long in this one last week. But the price actually ended up hitting my break-even stop out. Break-even stop, and right now I'm not in this trade anymore. The weekly bias is looking bearish. We can target towards the previous weekly low and a little lower. NZD JPY, the weekly bias is bearish. We can target towards this previous weekly low and a little lower. At CHF, the weekly bias is clearly bearish. We can target towards this low. The last weekly candle actually managed to close below the low of the previous week. The last previous week was a really strong bearish candle. So we actually managed to catch a good trade in this one this week. And I'm gonna wait for a deeper correction again so that I can again start looking for shorts in CAD CHF. This bias is clean. Okay, this is something I'm gonna keep in my watch list. CAD CHF, CAD JPY. We're still looking for shorts here. I'm already short in this one. I'm targeting for this low. The HPL is pretty much clean. That's a high probability liquidity. EHF JPY, we're into a discounted price region in daily time frame maybe. Yep, and we're bouncing from 50 EMA, but the weekly candle is giving me a bearish vibe. The last weekly candle managed to clear the high of the previous week and then close below the low of the previous week, so it's highly possible that we're going to trade below this low. But at the same time, I am aware that we're actually sitting at a discounted price region in daily time frame, so it's a little low probability one. Like it's possible that the next weekly candle will open, trade back a little lower, and then start moving towards upside. There is nothing in BTC USD, and uh, this is just too much extended towards downside, and it's possible that we're going to see some deeper correction in AUD, GBP AUD, GBP AUD. Even though the weekly bias looks bearish. So yeah, that's it from my side, guys. See you soon on the next session. Let's find some good setups on the next session. Have a great day.